Storytel presents Virus, Stockholm, Season 3. Written by Daniel Åberg. Translated from Swedish by Anita Shenoy. Read by Michelle Fox. Part 1. Chapter 1. Amanda is pedaling the boy's three-geared bike up the gentle hill to the bridge. First gear isn't working, and her body protests as she stands up to push the pedals round and round, zigzagging carefully between abandoned vehicles. She'll have to bear whatever pain it takes in her legs and chest. She can't allow herself to slow down. And besides, she thinks, it's not even a steep hill. Get a grip. You can rest later. Although she's not sure when, so get going. How many minutes have passed since the airplane passed over her head at the park? 7? 8? Not more than that, she thinks, although the plane has undoubtedly landed by now. Where did it come from? Who was on board? And perhaps most importantly, she wonders, am I going to go there and take a look? She has no idea what the answer is to any of her questions, but that last one is something she has to decide pretty soon. She's reached the crown of the bridge and can freewheel down the other side. She can turn off the bridge and head towards the nursery school, where they've taken refuge. Perhaps she can get Ursula to come with her. Or should she continue straight ahead to the airport? Because she has to check this out, right? Since everything fell apart almost a week ago, they haven't seen any vital signs from the rest of the world. So they can't just let a possible sign of life pass by unnoticed, can they? Hardly. Amanda observes that the cycle path on the south side of the bridge is now free of obstructions, all the way to the abutment, and she allows her gaze to sweep over to the southwestern corner of Kungsholmen Island, where rocky cliffs plunge into the water. Her stomach gnaws at the thought of how many times she sat there on a lazy summer's day like this, when the afternoon has transitioned to evening and the coffee thermoses and buns have been swapped for 3-litre wine boxes and single-use barbecues. And then she raises her eyes a little, and a completely different kind of sensation fills her stomach when she catches sight of what remains of the bridge. Shit, she thinks heavily. Let's hope it's not an exiled government on board that plane, arriving now to put everything to rights. I can't cope with 1 billion kroner damages fine right now. She can't wait. She has to get to the airport right away. She changes to 3rd gear and starts pedaling again. Her thigh muscles start to scream with pain, but she blocks it out. Later, or maybe in the next life. The sweat runs down her back. She's carrying a kid-sized rucksack. It was hanging abandoned on a peg by one of the lockers in the hallway of the kindergarten. There was a folded-up drawing in it. A colourful depiction of a summer's day, with a squid-type creature literally smiling with its whole face and patting a cat. She had been about to throw it away, but stopped herself, instead clearing out a forgotten sweater and putting the drawing on the top shelf of the child's locker. Maybe I'll wake up and realise it was all a bad dream, she thought. Stupid to have thrown out the kid's drawing in that case. Instead, the rucksack now contains the gun, along with filters for the protective masks which she picked up from the pedestrian crossing, where the rotting body that she had just buried is lying. Amanda knows she ought to have the weapon tucked into the back of her jeans. In an emergency, she'll never get it out of her bag in time. But psychologically, she's not quite in that frame of mind, and she sincerely hopes she never will be. She passes the underground station and glances up at the platforms, where there are a couple of abandoned trains. Suddenly, she's struck by a longing to hear the soft warning beep of the train doors sliding shut, followed by a few seconds of silence before the carriages slowly move off with a whine of acceleration. These are everyday sounds that will never be heard again. On the other hand, I never thought I would even hear the sound of an airplane make its descent either, she thinks, focusing straight ahead of her. There's a traffic jam at the crossing after the station, and she's forced to get off and lead her bike through a narrow gap between a bus and a delivery van, trying to breathe through her mouth the whole time. Even though she tries to avoid looking at the bodies in the vehicles, her nose can't be fooled. A persistent odour of death hangs in the air around places like this. Even if the...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?